College Football Pick Show here for Saturday's action. We have the remainder of 13 games. So after we shoot this, so we'll have all the Saturday games for you here, FBS versus FBS teams. Before we get started with them, just a couple things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free college football picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have NFL. We'll have Major League Baseball, European football, and more. So it's a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, hit us that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate that. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com, our multi-capper site, showcasing top cappers in our industry. Click the link to the hot cappers to get signed to one of our long-term passes. You'll see Hollywood Sam here has been on fire. We'll take a look here at some of our NFL cappers. Guys like Ramon, a top unit board, as well as Ben. Tiffany's been hot. We'll take a look here at our college football right now. Who's hot on the college football boards? Mindy's been hot. Our VIP GM, he's been hot on college football. So click the link, Tiffany, as well. Click the link and get signed up to one of our long-term passes. You'll find our premium picks at the top of the page, as well as our free picks up here on the top as well. We have our free picks on the top. And of course, when we go over to the home page, you'll be able to find our best bets here, latest premiums. You can click the best bet tab and you'll get to our best bets of the day, as well as our $15 pick. Each capper can designate one of their premium picks as a $15 pick. And you'll see they have them up there. Some of them even make them their best bet as well, as you see on the top here. And our best bet here, each capper can designate one pick per sport per day. So you'll see multiple if these cappers handicap more than one sport, and we'll have them up on the site. So go ahead and get signed up. Also, our promo code, you can save 20% off all premium pick packages. When you use the promo code TonyT at checkout, you can access our page by clicking the link in the description, the All Cappers tab, then get signed up. Also, love to hear from you guys. So post your picks in the comments below. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get this one started. Wisconsin versus Ohio State college football pick for Saturday. Wisconsin improved to 2-1 after their 66-7 home win to New Mexico State. Badgers offense rolled up 595 yards in the win, with the run game averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. Defense held the Aggies to only 242 yards. Wisconsin has a 17-14 home loss to Washington State, and they play their first road game in this spot. Quarterback Graham Mertz played well against the weak opponents, but in the Washington State game, signal caller was 18 of 31 for 227 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and 7.3 yards per pass attempt. Ohio State 3-0. They get past Toledo 77-21 behind 763 yards. They do have a 21-10 home win in Notre Dame behind 395 yards, and not covering that one. Quarterback C.J. Stroud in the win against the Fighting Irish, 24 of 34, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6.6 yards per attempt. You know, Badgers defense has played well and have been good on third down behind their weak schedule. The play will be Wisconsin plus 19. Miami, Ohio versus Northwestern college football pick. This one is on Saturday. Miami, Ohio fell to 1-2 after the 38-17 home neutral site defeat to Cincinnati. Redhawks struggled offensively with only 183 yards. They gained under 2 yards per carry on the ground, 116 passing on 21 attempts. Sophomore quarterback Avion Smith completed only 53% of his passes for 6 yards per pass attempt. The backup is in for an injured Brett Gabbert, was out for the season. Defense allowed 341 yards passing yards on 36 attempts. Northwestern fell to 1-2 after the 31-24 home defeat to an FCS school, Southern Illinois. Wildcats struggled to feign the pass, allowing 261 yards passing to their FCS opponent for 37 attempts. South Carolina transfer Ryan Helinski is completing 64% of his passes with 6.8 yards per attempt. You know, the Wildcats are moving the football with 473 yards, 320 in the passing game, and will exploit a weak Redhawks pass defense. No Gabbert from Miami, Ohio, and that's huge here as the backup has not been accurate and it isn't throwing the ball downfield well. The play will be Northwestern minus 7.5. New Mexico versus LSU college football pick for Saturday. New Mexico improves to 2-1 after their 27-10 home win to UTEP. Lobos limited the Miners on the ground and gave up 299 passing yards on 46 attempts. Run game generated 4 yards per rush, but the passing game struggled. Kansas transfer quarterback Miles Kendrick struggled against Boise State, hitting a 9 of 28 for 3.5 yards per attempt. They finished with only 123 yards and 25 rushing against Boise State. LSU comes off a 31-16 home win to Mississippi State. Strong performance on both ends for the Tigers, but the win came behind a strong fourth quarter, scoring the final 21 points and holding the Bulldogs scoreless in the final 21 minutes. Tigers had success running with 207 yards on 37 carries, and they did limit Mississippi State to just 289 yards. LSU held Mississippi State to only 5 yards of pass attempt. Now, quarterback Jane Daniels is completing 70% of his passes with 6 touchdowns and 6.7 yards per pass attempt. Now, he's also a major threat running the football. He ran for 93 yards and a touchdown in the win last week. New Mexico will struggle to score on the Tigers because really of a weak passing game. The play will be LSU minus 31. Charlotte versus South Carolina college football pick. This one is on Saturday. Charlotte improved to 1-3 after their 42-41 road win at Georgia State. Senior quarterback Chris Reynolds returned under center, and the 49ers gained 501 yards with 401 passing. Charlotte defense crushed again, giving up 602 yards. Reynolds in his 2 games completing 72% of his passes, 9.6 yards per pass attempt. South Carolina fell to 1-2 after their 48-7 home loss to Georgia. Gamecocks defense torched for 547 yards and gave up 462 in the road loss at Arkansas. Oklahoma transfer Spencer Rattler completing 59% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks, 7.1 yards per pass attempt. Now, Rattler should have success against the 49ers defense, giving up 565 yards, 5.5 yards per rush, 11.5 per pass attempt. Gamecocks defense played well. The play here will be South Carolina and Charlotte over 66.5. Boston College versus Florida State college football pick. This one is on Saturday. Boston College moved to 1-3 after their 38-17 home win to FCS Maine behind 431 yards. They've had offensive struggles, scoring 10 at Virginia Tech, 21 at home to Rutgers. Notre Dame transfer quarterback Phil Jurkovich completing 59% of his passes with 7 yards per pass attempt. In his FBS games, hitting only 55% with 6 yards per attempt. Now, Florida State 3-0 after their 35-31 road win at Louisville. Offense produced 485 yards in the win behind a strong performance by quarterback. Quarterback defense really struggled on the ground facing a running quarterback. Starting quarterback Travis Ward left last week's game with a leg injury and practices on Wednesday moving around well. Tate Roadmaker is the backup, went 6 of 10 for 109 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick in the comeback win. Now, the Eagles' lone road game, they were held to 155 yards. First home game against an FBS opponent for Florida State. Now, BC offense very poor to start the season. The play here will be Florida State minus 17.5. Hawaii versus New Mexico State college football pick for Saturday. Hawaii improved to 1-1 after their 24-14 home win to FCS Duquesne behind only 186 yards. Rainbow Warriors 93 rushing yards and they had that in the air as well. They held their FCS opponents at 364 yards. Offense generated 17 points as the defense did have a pick 6. Quarterback Joey Yellen, a Pittsburgh transfer, is completing 46% of his passes for 3.7 yards per pass attempt. New Mexico State 0-4 after a 66-7 road defeat at Wisconsin behind only 242 yards. They did put up over 300 yards on UTEP and Nevada in defeat this season. Aggies quarterback Diego Pavia, he's completing only 37% of his passes, was inaccurate against UTEP and Nevada. Rainbow Warriors giving up 6.7 yards per rush this season and are going through a total rebuild. Now, Hawaii was able to average 360 yards in their loss to Western Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Aggies offense just too poor to lay over a field goal in this one. The play here will be Hawaii plus the 5. Kansas State and Oklahoma college football pick for Saturday. Kansas State fell to 2-1 after their 17-10 home defeat to Tulane. Wildcats offense held to only 336 yards in defeat. Not much downfield pass to Adrian Martinez, who was accurate, hitting on 21-31, but only 150 yards for 4.8 yards per pass attempt. On the season, Martinez averaging 4.6 yards per attempt. Oklahoma 3-0 after their 49-14 road win at Nebraska. Sooners piled up 580 yards on the Cornhuskers defense. Another good performance here by Venables coach Sooners, holding Nebraska to 327 yards. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel completed only 59%, but threw for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 8.5 yards per pass attempt. Sooners crushed the Cornhuskers on the ground, 312 yards rushing on 54 carries. Now, Oklahoma is defending here for Venables with this offense clicking. Adrian Martinez just not getting much yardage with his completions. Passing game far superior for Oklahoma here, and with their play on defense, we'll give them a check mark. The play here will be Oklahoma here at minus 13.5. Louisville versus UL Monroe college football pick Saturday. Louisville fell to 2-1 after their 33-21 road defeat at Rice. Poor offense is shown by the Raging Cajuns in their first road game out, gaining only 175 yards. Louisiana was able to contain the Rice run game, but allowed 303 passing yards on 36 attempts. Quarterback Chandler Fields, Ben Woodruff saw time, and both were ineffective. Now, UL Monroe drops to 1-3 after their 63-7 road defeat at Alabama behind only 169 yards. They've been blown out in both FBS games with a 52-10 defeat at Texas. Warhawks have lost 7 straight against FBS competition. Based on performance, Woodruff has performed the best of the two at quarterback for the Raging Cajuns. That domination win over Eastern Michigan is encouraging for the favorite here. The play here will be Louisiana here at -9.5. Wyoming versus a BYU college football pick Saturday. Wyoming 3-1 after their 17-14 home win to Air Force. Cowboys had a strong defensive performance in the win, holding the Falcons to just 272 yards. Utah State transfer quarterback Andrew Peasley completed 78% of his throws, 7 yards per pass attempt. He performed well in their home win to Tulsa. BYU drops to 2-1 after their defeat at Oregon, 41-20. Cougars couldn't get much from their run game, running for 61 yards on 24 carries. BYU was down 38-7 after 3 quarters and padded stats with 13 points in the final quarter. Quarterback Jaron Hall looked good on paper, 29-41 for 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is completing 69% of his passes for 7.4 yards per attempt. Both top receivers of BYU questionable. Cougars getting production on the ground with 4.9 yards per carry, but the Cowboys have shown an ability to defend the run. Cowboys have protected Peasley on the season on defense. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. The play will be Wyoming at +21.5. USC versus Oregon State college football pick. This one is on Saturday. USC improved to 3-0 after their 45-17 home win to Fresno State. For the 3rd straight game, the Trojans gained over 500 yards. Strong performance offensively in the run and pass. Bulldogs did gain 421 yards rushing for 164 on 32 carries here on the ground against the USC defense. So Bulldogs 421 yards. They rushed for 164 on 32 carries. Caleb Williams on the season completing 74% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, no picks, and 110 yards per pass attempt. Oregon State, they're 3-0 after that 68-28 win on a neutral site to FCS Montana State. They did gain 544 yards in that win. Now, the Beavers have a home win to the down Boise State team and needed a last-second touchdown to beat Fresno State on the road. That was 2 weeks ago. Quarterback Chance Nolan, though, completed only 52% of his passes on Fresno State, and the Beavers did give up 360 yards passing to Fresno State on 45 passing attempts. That's an area that Trojans can greatly exploit. USC conditioning looks good. In the Pac-12 opener, the Trojans blew out Stanford here on the road. The play here will be USC at -5.5. Utah versus Arizona State college football pick for Saturday. Utah 2-1 with their 35-7 home win to San Diego State. Utes defense strong in the victory, holding the Aztecs to 172 yards with 60 in the passing game. Quarterback Cameron Reesing threw for 4 touchdowns, 7.5 yards per pass attempt on the Aztecs defense. Their run game produced 174 yards on 38 carries. Arizona State fell to 1-2 after the 30-21 home defeat to Eastern Michigan. Down 24-14 at the half. The Sun Devils were able to get a touchdown, only a touchdown in the second half. Now, ASU was crushed on the ground by the Eagles for 315 yards rushing on 49 carries. Quarterback Emory Jones for Arizona State, accurate passing games, but only averaged 5.7 yards per pass attempt. Jones completed 50% in the road loss at Oklahoma State. Herman Edwards was fired immediately after the loss. Utes run game generating 218 yards with 5.6 yards per rush. That is concerning based on how poorly the Sun Devils look defensively, especially against the run game against Eastern Michigan. Utah quarterback has been accurate this season, completing 67% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, a pick, and 8.2 yards per pass attempt. The play over Utah -15.5. Western Michigan versus San Jose State college football pick Saturday. Western Michigan dropped to 1-2 with their 34-13 home defeat to Pittsburgh. Broncos offense generated only 180 yards in defeat, surrendered for 240 in the ground game on 50 carries. Quarterback Jack Salopek had a bad performance, going just a 6 of 18, 3 picks, and 5.5 yards per pass attempt. San Jose State dropped to 1-2 with their 24-16 road defeat at Auburn. Spartans' run game produces little. Hawaii transfer quarterback Chavon Cordero, 24 of 40, 275 yards, 6.9 yards per attempt. Spartans' defense did allow 210 yards rushing to the Tigers on 38 carries. San Jose State's pass protection has been poor this season, giving up an average of 5 sacks a game. Their offense gained only 288 yards in a 21-17 home win to FCS Portland State. Broncos did go into Ball State and earned a 37-30 win behind 437 yards. The play here will be Western Michigan at +7. Stanford versus Washington, college football pick Saturday. Stanford fell to 1-1 with that 41-28 home defeat to USC. Cardinal mistakes were costly with 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles that resulted in a -4 margin. They were able to put up 441 yards on the Trojans' defense, in the end running for 221 yards. Quarterback Tanner McKee completing 68% of his passes for 8.85 yards per attempt with 3 touchdowns and 3 picks. Washington 3-0 after the 39-28 home win to Michigan State, who was down their top receiver. Huskies exploited the maligned Spartans' pass defense for 397 yards. Indiana transfer Michael Penix did complete 60% of his throws with 4 touchdowns and 9.9 yards per pass attempt. He did show well in 2 home wins to weak opponents in Kent and Portland State. Cardinals, featuring a balanced offensive attack this season, has been capable of quarterback under center as well. McKee, the play will be Stanford here at +14. That was our college football pick show, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, set notifications. Back in a little bit with more free picks throughout the day.